What is going on, brothers and sisters? Eric Rose from Viking Rising Astrology. Let's talk about saying goodbye to Pluto and Capricorn. Whew. What a heavy ride this has been. You know, the fact that it's been 16 years, 16 plus, of Pluto going through Capricorn, it does have different durations and different signs. It's not consistent like the other planets are with how much time it spends in each zodiac sign. And with it being the slowest moving planet, it can feel just like it's just something that we get used to. But as we're on this brink of this radical evolution as a humanity, as a species, with all the outer planets on this precipice of being at the end of these signs, this is very, very rare. This is not something that comes along often. You know, Pluto at the end of Capricorn. Also, Uranus towards the end of Taurus, and Neptune definitely at the end of Pisces. This brings up an element of, will we actually see these configurations again? I to be honest, I haven't looked forward because, you know, Pluto takes 20 years to go through Aquarius, so it's like, does it matter? Do I need to look that far ahead? Because here in the now, we're dealing with a radical shift of energies that will change the way that we are forever. And so, but you know, rather than go too deep into what all that means, because really I covered more of that, especially what it means for your sign with Destiny Tug of War, how to not play small, kind of getting into those outer planets and the nodes shifting in 2025. It's $9. You can purchase that recording to that webinar I did below. Saying goodbye to Pluto and Capricorn, you know, in some ways, maybe we're like, yeah, don't let the door hit you. Yes, on the way out, Pluto. But in some ways, because of the, you could say maybe consistency that we've been at least getting from Pluto, or at least it's consistent transformations. Like it's, you know what challenges are showing up in your life, and you know that it's not just your everyday batch of force that you can use to just take care of things. You have to use your power. You have to dig into your soul and find that. But when it goes into Aquarius, it's way more radical and unpredictable. So I think that this is an opportunity to reflect back and appreciate the lessons that have been. You know, I know a lot of us are excited for the future. A lot of us are excited for change, or ready for change, or want change, which change is always constant, right? Things are always in motion, right? The planets are always moving in some regard. Even if every planet was basically retrograde, the sun still does its thing, right? It's always progressing our life, our vitality forward. But we can look back on the history of the last 16 years. And so, you know, in the outer world, this brought up some really interesting things with politics and world government, power organizations, and hidden agendas, very much so. Obviously, it brought up the stuff in 2020 when Saturn and Pluto met. You know, it was a huge transit. But I think a lot of people, you know, were becoming almost like feral and expecting the fall of humanity, especially with Neptune at the end of Pisces. You know, it's like end times or something, or that the structures at the top of the world need to fall. But Pluto was always going to reveal a hidden element. So it's like, what if, you know, Trump taking office actually was the hidden stabilizer that this country needed, as well as some stabilization that appears to be getting worked out with him taking office in January, with other countries like appreciating more of that he's actually, you know, representing what seems like diplomacy, you know, where some of these other, you know, politicians unfortunately have been hell-bent on war and the war machine and how it makes money. And as probably evidenced by this last hurrah of Biden, you know, saying, hey, I'm gonna authorize Ukraine to use, you know, these US missiles, right? Very, very sun opposed Uranus Sun in Scorpio opposed Uranus and Taurus, right? Just that unpredictable element of just this hunger for power. But on a personal level, any guilt, history from the past 16 years, the stuff that's happened, this has been a purging of that. It would be like Pluto comes to your house and is the plumber and is like, hey, the only way we can unclog this is you got to let your home flood with feces first, and then you're just going to have to let it come up that way, and then you're just going to have to redo everything in your house, your furniture, the carpet, the walls, everything. Like the only thing you get to keep is like this, basically the outside structure reinforcement, you know, but the walls got to come down. And it's one of those things where, you know, but it's like, do you replace, you know, all the framing in the wall? Like, it's kind of like, that's where we're at, I think, at the end of this transit, is going, how much in our lives, you know, has changed and needed to change, and how much more do we have to change with just this last little bit of time that we have with Pluto. It's officially leaving, you know, depending on where you're at in the world, it's basically the afternoon, you know, in the US, or early evening. And I think this is where we have to just let the bygones be bygones, and like not take the burdens of yesteryear with us, and see that when it comes into Aquarius, it like absolutely is a reset. And to not let ourselves get drugged down by the heaviness of things, you know, the heaviness of what's been, you know, almost like letting the past history taint the future, you know, because Pluto knows that it just went through Capricorn, that it's at the end, it knows it's going into Aquarius. And so part of the evolution of our life, of how Pluto can use fear to evolve us, you know, we can still remember that stuff, right? And that can become some like energetic signature, the predictor of your future. But like, that's what Pluto always teaches, right? It's like, do you know how to be a powerful soul on this planet and own your power and evolve, and see that fear will be there to help evolve you, but you can also just like notice when you have the fear and just have the valor anyway and go, okay, fine, that's what the universe is asking me to do. That's what it's asking me to transform. That's what it's asking me to change in my life and go in a different direction. So I don't think we need to worry about what's going to happen in the world, or, you know, how things like shake out, especially with some of these bigger transits coming next year. It's more so about, think about this final, basically, you know, day, as I'm putting out this video, where it's like, what's the position that you want to have? Like, what's your pole position for your life of what matters for you? It's like, if we blow up the rest of the astrology, it's like your value systems, right? Being hungry for what that is, and just going for it. Because I mean, you can't make this up. The fact that literally like the sun's going to make a beautiful sextile aspect over to Pluto, like right before it leaves, like sun in Scorpio, like with Pluto leaving, like hallelujah, like thank God that we get that boost. We get that boost of remembrance of our power, of our vitality, of, hey, motherfucker, it doesn't matter how difficult it's been. This is how you just keep going. This is about your tenacity to go. Even if it feels like you've been hermiting at the top of the mountain, trying to figure out like what's next in life, like which direction to go, which people, project to engage in, like, you know, I think a part of us is all feeling a little bit tired. And this is also too where people like, there's a call for, you could say, radical transformational vulnerability of, okay, what's the real you that you're gonna put out in the public? Like, there's been a part of you that's been kind of like holding back a little bit. And so like, what does that look like? You know, who is that person? Who is that being that maybe you've been carrying some of those heavy Capricorn shackles and armor, you know, that it's dirty and it's armor that you can't clean, and you just have to like take it off, right? These protections, these physical boundaries that we create of like disconnecting from intimacy with really just the world at large, you know, where we prefer to just try to keep some things private from the public, but, you know, the beauty, the transformation, the power, the real achievement is in exposing all of you. It is turning yourself like inside out. You know, it's kind of like, if you use like the Disney movie, like Inside Out 2, it'd be like, you know, having the characters and the emotions like be like wearing your heart on your sleeve and like letting people know, this is what's going on in my head. Like this is what's happening. This is what's been happening. This is how I'm feeling like in this moment. This deals with candor, right? Like just speaking very candidly, very just, you know, because Pluto being in that 60th gate, which it'll still be in even when it goes into Aquarius at the early degrees, the 60th gate in Gene Keys, that is a gate still of, you know, it's restriction, but how do you innovate from that position where you're going whenever there's restrictions to do better? And part of that in that 60th gate is language, believe it or not. It's like a way of like using language, of using the frequency of language. And so, you know, part of the disconnection I think people are feeling in the world, whether it's like you're in your own life and then you're looking out into the world and something's not like matching fully, or when you go to connect in the world, the stuff that's like being shown like in the media, or especially like those broadcasted collective values, because I think there's a huge broadcast of what people's values are. Like, how many people really gave a shit about like Jake Paul and Mike Tyson? Do people actually care, or is that just, you know, the projection of what to like care about, right? Like Uranus at the end of Taurus and making aspects to, you know, these outer planets with Neptune and Pisces and Pluto at the end of Capricorn. It's like, you know, it's about, yeah, see the world's values and like what's out there, but then go, and then it's like, oh, that's what that is. And then like kind of like put your head back down, not like hiding or shame, but just like a focus, you know, of like, well, what is it that you're creating? What's the movie of the reality that you're creating based upon the innovative value systems, you know, that make you feel the fucking best? That is like, I've been saying this for a couple of years, like, what are the talents, skill sets that you can't put on a fucking resume, that if, you know, maybe not anymore because it's starting to shift, but it's like it used to be, if you put on there that, you know, you worked as a medium or whatever, and you go apply for an admin position, someone might be like, what the fuck? But like now they might be like, oh, you have that ability, you can like do that, like that's pretty cool. Like there is an opening. So that's what I mean, is that, you know, how much of these nostalgic values that get projected, you know, that's almost like where they try to slip, you know, it's like a compact disc into your system, and your system is like, no, like I want the Arcturians to tell me what's up, or the Palladians, you know, I want my fucking star beings, you know, to like come in and like just access the data directly, you know, almost like even more advanced version of like, you know, downloading a program like in the Matrix, you know, and like getting like jacked in the back of the head. And it's like, you know, especially like some of these reels on Face, whatever it's called. It's like these old nostalgic things, and then they play that algorithm to what you're watching. So this is about flushing that history down the toilet of the things that are just no longer valuable to you, and it's just not a part of the authentic being that you're, you know, been asked to evolve into. And so really, if anything, your challenges in life right now, of whatever you have, are just self-perpetuated by your own self-perpetuating prophecy of like, where God's asking you to get on this like starship of just your own power to align your frequency of like tribe and future and creation of where it's going. But knowing exactly the skill set, the worth that you bring to the table, but not getting lazy and just being like, well, you know, let me just roll over into this pattern or into this vice or into this schedule or way of doing it. Like, it served me well for the past 16 years. And it's like, did it though? Or was it always just meant to get you to the next level and to the next lesson? You know? So I think, as I pull some cards up here, I think we're, you know, the final stage of Pluto is, you know, my challenge to everyone would be like, what is something that you can do on a public platform that reveals something deeper about yourself? You know, like, what's something that you can do in work, business, you know, something just public, maybe it's social media, but it's like, what's something that you've been holding back that actually tune in to yourself inside, that if you actually revealed that part of yourself, you would actually feel liberated. And then ask, like, why are you afraid to expose that thing or talk about that thing or be that thing? Because it is about being it too. It's being it and then speaking from that embodied frequency of that power of using that language. It's not about trying to prove, because then you're hiding, you know, almost like you're still in survival mode or you're in security, and that's why you're putting it out there, like afraid people are going to come after you with like the pitchforks or something. So, you know, be spiritual as fuck. Like, the world's ready. It's Pluto going into Aquarius. It's Neptune at the end of Pisces. Eventually Saturn will catch up with it, but it'll be in Aries. And, you know, and then Uranus at the end of Taurus. Like, we don't have to be bashful anymore. You know, the resiliency, the tenacity is way about choosing your own way that feels mission oriented, because Pluto and Capricorn brings that up too. Like, Yeshua knew his mission, Jesus knew his mission. You know, I don't know, maybe like an MLK or a Gandhi. You know, I'm just throwing out random names. Don't slam me on someone's background or whatever, please. Like, I mentioned someone one day, I think I mentioned Russell Brand, and some shit came after me or something, just because I used him as an example. But it's like, people that are on it, that aren't afraid, they're not afraid to own that courage, you know, with Mars and Leo. It's gonna be here for a minute. It's like, you'll feel better with that retrograde that's coming, the more courage that you show in every part of your life. Because what is Leo? It's your heart. It's what you love to do. It's the people that you love. So it's letting your inner child come to the table, but it's also like making amends and being responsible and like cleaning up your life right now in the places that you haven't been allowing yourself to do the things that you love fully, or that you haven't been loving, and the integrity of your value systems, and to do more of that. So it's about walking the walk without a doubt. And it's worth the effort to go and clean up those places, and then let life show you how great it can be, and just make the achievement just being a good spiritual person and not trying to prove anything, and just let life align, because you're just doing the passionate, loving things that are responsible. And that frequency alignment just attracts good things, good opportunities, you know, like the beautiful, benefic Jupiter and Gemini conversations that can come from all this. So, Pluto leaving Capricorn cards. Alliance. This is partnership energy for sure. I mean, looks like we've got some alliances to form. Got the arrival card of the first house energy in reverse. And then finally, Libra balance. So this is all about relationships, believe it or not. This is about coming out of the hermit stage of Pluto at the end of Capricorn. You know, that we've spent enough time, you know, digging deep into the places of ourself and our understanding, because it can feel lonely at the top of the mountain, especially when you got to dig in deep with Pluto. But with it going into Aquarius, it's time. It's time for alliances. It's time for relationships. It's time for connections, Yes, the astrology in 2027, especially in what's coming, even the build-up, favors that know thyself energy very deeply at the individual level. But that is that value and power of knowing what you bring to the table to those alliances and relationships. And so that's why we've had a lot of these challenges and lessons, is to learn, what holds you back is achieving something great in your life. But it's time to retire that. It's time to retire that jersey. It's like, I don't know why it makes me think of LeBron James, like he's a Capricorn. It's like retiring that jersey of making it about you and your talents and what you can do, and going into a space of connection, going into a space of, also not, I think a lot of this too deals with making amends and creating harmony with people. It's like your teammates. It's like seeing that maybe the people that have triggered you the most or helped you the most on your growth journey actually were a teammate that seemed like they were wearing a different jersey, but they were still, wanting to like have fun and create and just achieve the same thing as you. You just felt like you were wearing a different jersey. And so different value systems, right? This could deal with different perspectives where it's like, don't make it just about yourself, like you versus the world or your value systems or that other group of people, to where, then you don't know yourself and you're just identifying with some like group's echo chamber or something. And then cultivate, build some stuff, build some awesome Taurus energy of, the things that you can create like with these conjunctions and alliances. And so how do we get there though? It's coming. The solar flares card, activations, like the cosmos, it's activating people. It's like, let that energy rain down from the heavens. Have the conversations. Don't be afraid to have them. If you get an intuitive inkling to reach out to someone, I would do that. I would do that, absolutely. Especially like when you got that passion. When that passion is there, you're ready to speak something, you're ready to say something, act. Don't hold back. This is about letting your higher self come in, transcend that ego and see that none of us, we can't do this alone. This is not the time to be sitting around our homes isolated, not doing anything. This is fucking go time. This is, but the equivalent of Spirit launching rockets like NASA, like are you at least gonna like watch them lift off, even if you're like not on the shuttle? Do you want to at least be a part of the liftoff of the evolution of where life is going and the creation, or do you want to stay stuck in your past history and nostalgia and hold yourself back from this wild ride that's coming with Pluto coming into Aquarius? And so final lessons of Pluto, pay attention. There's always a last minute reveal, but I think that some of the biggest ones here as a collective is really the realization of like, where do we hold ourselves back for, maybe dumb reasons, because we thought that the world was going in a certain direction that, that was being put out there, and it wasn't. And so now Pluto going into Aquarius, it doesn't matter if you feel like you're behind the 8 ball or not. You don't need to do an 8 ball to catch up. And it's time to connect with the frequency of the value system that you're meant to do here, and to do those things and completely renovate your approach to how you engage in life and use every breath to make it count. If you guys want to get that special, the link will be down below. Destiny Tug of War, how to not play small. And if you want to get an astrology reading, that link will be down below as well. And if you just want to, in general, work with me one-on-one with the type of energy work that I do, hypnosis, rebirthing breath work. It's trauma-informed breath work. I work with the Arcturians for energy work. I just let them come in and do their thing. It's a very shamanic approach to healing, past life regressions, future life progressions. Meet that future self, find out where you're going. You know, it's fun stuff. On special occasions, I'll do mediumship for people if they really want that, but I'm more so here, guys, to understand you on an empathetic, compassionate level of like what holds you back and being able to see that and, you know, nurture that human part of you that's getting hung up, but then to also invite you into that sacred threshold of that door that I know how to open for people to like walk into that courageous transformation. And so that's why I had to walk the high fire coals of Pluto crossing all 5 of my placements in Capricorn, including my sun and moon. And it's saying goodbye to my son right now as we speak. So love you all. See you on the next horoscope. Take care.